All right, thank y'all for checking this video out. This is the Success Estate Podcast, and my name is Mike Johnson. I'm your host. I love to talk about great things in the real estate industry and also talk about things that are interesting in our area here in East Texas. Today, I have a wonderful guest with me today who's going to not only enlighten us, but hopefully give us some interesting stories and feedback on her journey. Today, I have with me Miss Malinda Lenhart.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Malinda, if you don't mind, would you start by telling everybody what it is you do and why that's important?
Yes, I am a real estate broker and owner of Coldwell Banker Lenhart Properties in East Texas. You want me to tell a little bit of how we got started? Or?
Sure. I'll, if you don't mind, just give us backdrop just on Coldwell Banker Lenhart Properties.
Okay. Coldwell Banker started out in 1984 as Lenhart Properties. I was a brand new broker. I'd been a real estate agent for 10 years and made the decision to open my own brokerage. And so I started brand new broker with two very good friends who had just gotten their real estate licenses. Mm-hmm. So it was the blind leading the blind. I had never run anything, and they had certainly never sold real estate.
Sure.
So we opened our doors, and within a year, we were the #1 real estate company in this part of East Texas. And we have been a leader in the industry in this part of the world all of those many years. It's been a great journey, and I love it as much today as I did when we started.
Awesome. And so, size of your brokerage, how many agents do you?
We average at this point around 100 agents at any one time. There's always ebb and flow, people joining us. We've had 2 people join us this week.
Oh, wow.
And then there's people who retire or make the decision to go on and do something else.
Sure.
We have agents in 4 offices. Longview is our main office, and then we have offices in Kilgore, Gilmer, and Marshall. So we really do a good job of covering this market area.
Okay, awesome. And I've enjoyed my time. Coming up on 6 years.
It's unbelievable. He's fantastic.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And going off of that, I like to break the ice a little bit with a question or something like that. And I want to put you on the spot here a little bit, if that's okay.
It's okay.
Do you want to put on record whether or not I am still your favorite agent?
He is absolutely one. I'm a politician too. He is absolutely one of my favorite agents. Mike understands what it takes to be successful. He's been successful in many areas of his life.
Thank you.
And he brought all of those skills to this industry. And I am so proud of him. He sells more real estate every month than he did the month before. And he is a true success story in every aspect and area of his life.
Well, thank you for saying that, for one. I really appreciate, and I've said this to you before, and I've said this to several agents. I was actually having this conversation at the barbershop 2 days ago. And I can say that I genuinely appreciate your support in becoming a better agent every year. I can honestly say part of my survival as an agent is attributed to this office. Not only things things like that are common amongst other brokerages like leads and things like that, but y'all have created and cultivated a culture here of support.
That's right.
And so I want to say publicly that I really appreciate everything that you've done to help me. All the belief that you've had in me.
Oh, absolutely.
The encouragement,
from the minute I met
everything.
you.
I really appreciate it. Can you tell me a little bit about, you said when you started, you didn't know anything about managing a brokerage or anything like that. Was it something in your mind to say, I need to cultivate this kind of a culture though?
I'll tell you, it's kind of an interesting story. I was very involved with the Junior League of Longview.
Oh, yeah.
And back in the day, and I got my license in 1974, and I was a realtor for 10 years before we opened Coldwell Banker. Back then, it's hard to believe now, but there were very few women in the workforce. Very few. Most women were either stay-at-home mothers, maybe a few teachers, but very few people in the women in the workforce. And the world began to change in the late 70s, and the Junior League, the Association of Junior Leagues, came up with a class that said and it was from the national part of Junior League, it was not established here.
Okay.
They brought a speaker in, okay. And they said, okay, you have done, not just me, of course, but many women in the Junior League, you have done so many things through your volunteerism that we can take those experiences, those leadership roles, and we can build a resume of skills and talents that you've earned, and have them apply to the workforce. It was a fascinating class. It was especially fascinating for me because I think I was probably at the point where I was ready to do something different.
Sure.
And by taking that class and building this resume, I realized I had many skills that would be applicable in the workforce. And it gave me the confidence to decide, okay, Malinda, now's the time for you to step out on your own and take a deep breath. It took a lot of deep breaths to make the decision to open your own brokerage.
Sure. Awesome. And so when doing that, when checking out, starting your own brokerage, and having a few people come with you.
Yes.
What's your first goal as a broker? Survive. Okay. What does it take to survive?
It was hard to survive in that very. This company will be 39 years old.
Wow.
In May this year, and right after we opened our company, opened our doors, there was an economic downturn. And like so many, almost every business, if you're in it long enough, there are going to be peaks and valleys, ups and downs. And so the beginning, that first year, it was survival. It was learning the ropes, but also just surviving. And we managed to get through that first few months, and then over time, things got better. And what we offered was a different culture than most of the real estate companies in our area. Back then, there was really, people would, there were certainly realtors, but if they had a listing, they put a sign in the yard, that was it. There was no marketing of the realtor, the company, or the property. And I realized from studying the markets in places like Dallas that was changing. And so it gave us an opportunity to open and hit the ground running with a philosophy in this part of the world that had never been seen before.
Sure.
And it was attractive to realtors all over the area, and we grew very, 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 very rapidly.
So being innovative.
Absolutely. And that's any business. You can't, there's no template that says, okay, if I do it this way today, it's going to be the same thing I'll do in 5 years. You're constantly evolving, constantly trying to do every aspect of the business better.
Sure.
And that's part of the fun of it.
Sure.
It keeps it interesting, creative.
Of course.
Keeps us on our toes.
I would say that's probably, so I worked a lot of jobs since I got out of high school. My resume is littered with lots of different jobs in lots of different areas. This has been the longest that I've been at one position. Now, of course, I was part-time when I started.
Yes, that's right.
But part of the thing that I love when people ask me, hey, man, do you still enjoy, selling real estate? I say yes, because every day is going to be different.
Absolutely.
I can be
Absolutely.
going great. Everything is just seems to be on autopilot. I'm actually, so at the beginning of last year, in 2022, that was one of my roughest stretches. Now, it's funny because this past year was my best year.
Yes, it was. Certainly was.
I prayed and thanked God in January of 2022 because I was starting to get referral business.
Yes. That's when you know you've made it.
I thought, well, that's what I thought. And so I said, Lord, thank you for helping me to get to this place. And right after I said that, I was still, it was funny because I was still getting referrals, but I wasn't closing any deals because, of course, COVID changed everything. But I had to change all over again. I had to change my tactics. I had to change the way that I communicated.
You had to reinvent yourself.
I had to reinvent myself all over again. And so
right. And you'll have to do it many more times.
I figured, and that really keeps me engaged.
That's
keeps
exactly
me going. Right. When it comes to things like technology, can you talk a little bit about how technology has changed in real estate over the last 39 years?
Yes. So, as I said, we were the leading company for years and years and years and years. And I was very involved in real estate education all over the United States. I would travel and go to seminars and conventions and that kind of thing. And I realized, like all industries, that technology was changing the world.
Sure.
It was certainly changing the real estate world.
Sure.
And even though Lenhart Properties back in the day was a big fish, we were a big fish in a little bitty pond. And I realized...
Are you meaning Little Pond as East Texas?
Is East Texas.
Got you, okay.
And that there was no way that anybody here had enough business that they were going to be able to spend the infrastructure investment to keep up with the changes in technology.
Oh, okay.
So that's when, and a lot of people thought, you have absolutely lost your mind. And I will tell you that you have lost your mind. You are sitting on a gold mine and you're going to change it.
Oh, wow.
And we did that because we realized Coldwell Banker is a very highly respected brand, not only in the United States, but all over the world.
Sure.
We were extremely impressed with the management team. There wasn't anything about Coldwell Banker that we didn't like. And we thought if we affiliate with them, they are going to be the ones that keeps us on the cutting edge as far as technology. We're not going to have to develop it. They're going to develop it, and we're going to be able to use it. And so that's why we did it, and we're very glad we did. And I think we're going into our 24th year as a Coldwell Banker company.
So what was it named originally? What was your brokerage name?
Lenhart Properties.
Okay, Lenhart Properties.
Inc., yes.
And then...
when we became Coldwell Banker, we became Coldwell Banker Lenhart Properties. Okay. And the great thing about, I'll just say one more thing about Coldwell Banker, is that... one day we were Lenhart Properties, the next day we were Coldwell Banker. Nothing internally changed as far as the way we run our company.
Right.
All of that is Jack and Malinda Lenhart, and the culture that we help build with all of our wonderful agents. But we got all this stuff on top of it, and that was how to be competitive not only in the next 10 years but maybe the next 40 years.
Right.
We have our son Jack, who's the broker of our company, and then he has a son or two that may have an interest. So there's a possibility that this business will be 39 years again. Sure. And we want to be sure that we're viable and that we're a leader. And we are providing the best services not only to our community but to our real estate agents.
So this is something that I love to talk about when you bring up family. And what you said there brought up a lot of different questions, but I want to stake this part out really quickly. So Jack is like you said is the broker here. How did it come about that Jack made his way into the real estate industry, and did what you do kind of propel him into it? Like, did he just see the path?
Yes, we were at that time. We were Lenhart Properties, and I'll never forget this. when he was a senior in high school, and he was in our living room with a couple of his good buddies. And for some reason, out of the blue, he looked at me and he said, "Mom, what am I going to do when I grow up? What am I going to be?" And I thought, oh my God, I'm not sure. No, I thought he was fascinated by the business.
Sure.
Even back then. He went to the University of Oklahoma and got his degree in business administration.
Sure.
And this is an aside, but he made the decision that he wanted to come back. He wanted to get into our business, but he didn't want to come back right out of college. So he went to work for commercial brokerage in Dallas, and he was there for 12 years.
Wow, okay.
And he ended up
he just needed to spread his wings a little bit.
Yes, he wanted to spread his wings, and he ended up marrying Lainey Lenhart now, who's a couple of years younger than him, and they grew up. They never dated. They were friends, but she lived about 5 miles from us, and all of a sudden he meets her again. And they both are working in Dallas, and they fall in love and move back.
Awesome.
So it's been great.
Oh man,
it's
quite
been
the
great
story.
For me.
That's quite the story. Now, as far as getting started, you discussed how there weren't a lot of women in business at that time.
That's exactly right. In any business.
And so here you are being a trailblazer on that. I'm assuming that you had support from your husband.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about how y'all were able to do this together?
Yes, my husband, John, at that point was a supervisor at Lone Star Steel.
Okay. Oh,
and our children, our girls were, I don't know, it's young. And then Jack was very young. But we realized that it was going to be a good endeavor for our whole family. And so he was very supportive. I will tell you, I was driving down Judson Road one day, having worked for this little small company for 10 years as an agent before I opened this company. And I drove, and I was right about where our office is on Judson Road, and I thought, Melinda, you know what? You're going to open your own company. And when John got home, and I went and talked to a friend, I ended up leasing an office in this office park. And that afternoon, it was a very quick decision. And when John got home from work, I said, guess what? We're opening a real estate company. And his response was, that's great.
Oh,
so he was
awesome.
always very, very supportive.
Awesome. And as far as your other children, did they have any desire to go into the real estate?
No, our daughter Sarah, who lives here, she and her family, she got her license, and she thought about it I think she sold one house. And it turned out it was our lake house at Lake Cherokee.
Okay.
So that was her golden moment, and then she decided, I'll just support you from afar.
Sure. She can say, I did it. Well, it's great, though, that she got a chance to get the experience.
Oh, yes. And she still is a great advisor. She has a real good business sense.
Okay.
And so I value her her opinion. Our other daughter, our oldest daughter, Anne, is attended the University of Texas, and has an MBA from Texas, and she is an international business consultant in Dallas.
Oh wow!
And all of her children are grown. One's still in college.
Okay.
But she's here a lot. And
Sure.
I
don't think I've ever met her. I don't think I've ever met her before. I look forward to, but I always think that it's important. Of course, as you know, the boys get a chance to come with me a lot.
We love having them.
Well, I hope that
Mikey,
I just hope they
Garrison,
don't tear up.
And Ian.
I just hope they don't tear up the elevator. Boys. I'm so nervous about the elevator, especially my baby boy. He's very crafty. He wants to just get on the elevator. I'm sure. And I was just talking last week with Jeff Grimes, whose parents worked here.
That's exactly
at one point. It's so funny how this web keeps getting. This world keeps getting smaller. The web keeps intertwining. But he talked about it from a different perspective, where he said, "Hey, one time he said his mom, it was either Thanksgiving or Christmas, she had to get up and go show a house, and he looked up and he said, I'll never be a real estate agent."
But he got as close as he could.
As an appraiser, which I told him, I said, that's great though, because a lot of young guys they'll be talking about, yeah, what I'm going to do in college. And I said, hey, that's okay, but what is that going to look like after college? Good, go to school. You should go to school, continue your education. But what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? And it's really hard. I know, I say from my perspective, and I don't, so then I don't know how to communicate it to other children, to other young men. I could not see what would happen after I got a degree. So I ended up with a kinesiology degree. The only reason why I did that is because a cousin of mine mentioned it when we had to put something down. And so I said, okay, coaching sounds. So I did the same thing. Well, midway through getting my kinesiology degree, I was in Tyler. I had another cousin who was coaching in Jacksonville. And he would say, I put in 70, 80 hours every week. And we don't make more money off of that.
That's exactly right.
And in my head, I said, I don't want to do that. But at that point, I was kind of stuck as far as I felt, which I just didn't have a clear understanding. I felt stuck. So I said, well, let me just go ahead and get the degree. Then I can get a job somewhere else. I think it's super important now that Jack and your other Sarah were able to see up close, hey, this is an opportunity here. Yes. It's so funny how now they can make a decision. Do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? Did you ever see a point where they were evaluating? Did you ever notice a point where they were evaluating? You said Jack always had an interest.
Yes.
But for Sarah and Ann, did you ever see them evaluate?
The girls really didn't. Now, Sarah, I will tell you, when she was in high school, she was at Longview High School, she would do our books for us. But there was no such thing as a computer. I mean, there was absolutely no such thing. And we didn't have that much business. We were a brand new company, but we had these big ledger sheets.
I heard about those.
With a pen and a big old ledger sheet, and she would do the books by hand. That was really as close as she got to having a real interest.
But you said you got 2 grandchildren that may be interested. I just think all of that is a beautiful thing to, and another wood on the fire to, hey, this is why I'm gonna keep going. Why to keep innovating, keep being a leader in this field.
I am as excited about this industry today as I was when I was a real estate agent, and certainly when I opened our own company.
Sure.
I think it's a fascinating business.
Sure, I do too.
And I can't imagine that there wouldn't be. We've got 9 grandchildren. That someone, I do think it's either one or both of Jack's boys, probably the greatest chances of coming into it. But it's a fascinating, interesting business, and all kinds of experiments have happened over the years. Maybe we don't need the real estate agent. Maybe they can be cut out. Maybe buyers and sellers can just get together and do their own thing. They don't want to get together and do their own thing. They want an intermediary. They want a negotiator. They want help. They want expertise. Of
course.
And if it hasn't changed yet, it isn't going to change.
Sure.
So I see it being a viable career option, certainly in a place like East Texas,
sure, I agree.
which is one of the promised lands.
And then when you start looking, there's so many, if you're thinking about land or you need to know something about the area.
Absolutely.
My cousin, the same cousin that was in Jacksonville, he's now in Dangerfield, and he talked to me about buying a house there, and I said, hey, I would love to represent you, but I don't know anything about Dangerfield.
Yes.
You need somebody in the area that knows something about Dangerfield, so you're not end up in a bad position.
That's right.
And it's one of the harder things to say, okay, I'm going to back off, even though it's a chance to make money.
Yes. That's very hard.
I could make some money right here. And that was I was young in the game, in the real estate game, so I was even more desperate. But values, I kind of, and I'll take this, I'll give you credit. I recognize that values, when you put the correct values in place, you have an opportunity to move forward in the business. What kind of values did you set early on to say, hey, this is who we're going to be, this is how, which then dictates how we're going to be?
Well, I think in life, you come with a core value system.
Sure.
It's part of your soul.
Sure.
It's part of who you are. And I certainly had a lot of influence with family and as far as the kind of life I wanted to live. So part of our philosophy here with making real estate transactions is that there are situations it's better, just like you saying I'm not an expert in this market. There are times the best thing to do is to let the opportunity go away. If the realtor wants it more than the buyer, than the seller, it really needs to just go away, because it will come back and bite you. And I think if you do the ethical, the good thing, it builds trust. People respect you for it, and it's just the only way you want to live.
Of course.
So it's never a real conscious decision. I mean, it's just who you are. You just always do the right thing.
Sure. And as far as becoming a broker, being a broker, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on today is because I think people can, clients can understand the role of the agent, but just as important is the role of the broker that's behind the agent. Right. Would you explain what a broker does and why they're important?
Yes. Our primary, Jack Lenhart and Malinda Lenhart's primary responsibility is to make sure that you have all the education, all the tools, all the support that you need to do a really good job. And it's little things very little things, like when you're coming in and you need to make a copy of a contract, that there's paper in the copy machine. That when you bring a client in, if they'd like a cup of coffee, there's always fresh coffee. Those are tiny things. A beautiful office space. We're very fortunate because we have agents that have been around as long as I have. They are experts in this market and this industry. And I think we say that our culture is our greatest strength. Right. Because everyone here is willing to help everyone else. Sure. And it's great. I mean, and so we can put ourselves out. We are very knowledgeable. We are experts in this business. And so we can help our most experienced agent, and we can help the person that's been here a week. Sure. Where they never feel like I don't know what to do.
And that was one of the things. There was a few young people that have come to me recently, like, hey, I'm getting started in this, and this is kind of when I'm able to talk or brag about our office. I remember when I first got started, my first contract, and the person that was mentoring me at the time, I think she was at an event or something. I couldn't reach her. I was panicking.
Sure you were.
And I thought about it, I said, wait, Mike, there's multiple people here. I remember when I started, hey, you can call any of us.
That's right.
And Christy O'Rear.
Absolutely.
I said, hey, Christy, I'm in trouble. I don't know what this means. My client is asking, what do I do here? And in a calm voice, she walked me right through everything.
That's exactly right.
And that was reassuring for me because I realized you can study everything that are in the textbooks, but when you get in the field, unfortunately, there's just, I don't know if there's a way to correctly understand everything about real estate. Like, I don't think that you could go to school for 4 years and get a really clear understanding of this business, because certain things are just
it's fascinating.
That's why it's so fascinating. And at that moment, I knew it would be hard for me to leave this office.
Good.
And I've seen. I mean, and I tell everybody, I'm a businessman up front. I think you should explore opportunities, but I also compare the opportunities, and I've just been looking around. I just haven't found anything, I say looking around. When somebody approaches me, because that's what brokers do. They approach, they say, hey, would you think about making a change? And
no, but I'm interested.
I'm interested in hear. I'll hear what you say.
Certainly.
And it's just it reaffirms actually my position here. So I've always been very, very grateful for everything that y'all have provided. You have taken a step back from selling real estate.
I haven't sold one piece of real estate. This is hard to believe. So we opened our company 39 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I told you I was a brand new broker. I had 2 new agents.
Mm-hmm.
This was not a conscious decision. I thought, and we were in the midst of a economic downturn in the United States, and I thought my responsibility is to help these 2 new agents.
Wow.
So I was successful. There were no mega realtors back in the day, but I had been a very successful agent.
Sure.
But because of these 2 friends of mine, I thought anything that comes my way, I'm going to give to them, refer to them, so they can be successful.
Sure.
So since we became Lenhart Properties, and this is hard to believe, I have not listed or sold in 39 years any real estate except my own.
Really?
Yes. Now, at some point, I thought, when things would get tough, I thought, Malinda, that was the dumbest decision you've ever made. But it was, we certainly don't fault brokers that sell.
Sure.
But it was just a conscious decision, and we've stuck with it. And Jack believed in the philosophy, so he is a commercial. We have a commercial brokerage. He does sell commercial real estate. He sells no residential. If somebody asks him to show them a house or list their house, he refers them to an agent in our company.
Wow.
So.
Well, okay, because I was going to ask you, and I thought that you stopped like several years ago.
No,
I didn't realize.
I stopped 39 years ago.
39 years ago. How do you think that has either garnered trust or helped your business? How do you think that has affected your business?
I don't think it's affected us negatively in any way.
Sure.
I think our agents realize we're a very successful company. We run a very well-oiled, very well-run professional company. Very much so. And we're successful because of all of you. I mean, if it was up to us, we would have to shut our doors because we're not in the sales end of the business. And
I can, the more that I step back and look kind of at what you've done in the industry, I've really been taken aback because I'll see brokers like Trina Griffin that have worked here. I think Kathy Daniels.
Oh, many.
Suzanne Smith.
Many.
Those that have done really well, started their own brokerage, still doing really well.
Yes.
But I'll also see you support them.
Oh, absolutely.
Competition. You're supportive of competition.
Absolutely.
Where does that come from?
Well, it's the way it should be.
Sure.
We're all in this together.
Okay.
And it takes all of us. We're not gonna list and sell all of our own properties. We need each other. So we need competent competition.
Sure.
Just like we're part of a team. Just like mortgage lenders. Just like home inspectors. Just like appraisers.
Right.
Just like the services provided by a title company. None of us can do it by ourselves.
Right.
And so, yes, we've had many people that are in the industry as brokers, owners, and other realtors, and our relationship with them is wonderful. I mean, many of those people are close personal friends.
Sure.
And so and Jack, we're thankful for the opportunity that we help train them, so they're wonderful at what they do.
Sure. And is it ever tense though, as far as like when they say, "Hey, I'm gonna check out on my own"?
No. We have never, for anybody that made that decision. What I say is, I understand. I made the same decision.
Sure.
And so I support you, and it's sincere.
That's the kicker.
No, it's not. There's nothing.
That's the kicker that I tell people. Malinda is not just, she's not saying, "Hey, Mike, go be great," so that she can.
No.
It's
I
really,
want you to be
really.
great because you have everything there is,
Sure.
and you are great.
Sure.
So why wouldn't I want to, as one human being to another, why wouldn't I want to embrace your success?
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I greatly appreciate
it's
this
just
sincerity.
part of who we are.
Sure. Sure.
It's just a core, deep value.
But you know, in our society, in our economy, we are capitalists. It
Absolutely.
seems sometimes to go against that thought process. Kind of seems to go against what one may say. This is what it takes to survive.
That's right.
You know, normally it's like I'm gonna take all I can, try to stomp out my competition. Not if you're going to be in
it for the long haul.
And that's I think that's what threw me off not threw me in a good way. What surprised me with your support of competition.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you still compete.
He's definitely. I compete because I have you.
Sure.
And I have 100 other people like you.
And I think you enjoy being. I would say our office is probably on top as far as the numbers. If you were to look at the numbers, I'm not saying whether everybody's had a great experience somewhere else or anything like that. But if you just look at the numbers, we're on top in this area.
We're very, very much a market leader.
Sure,
That's
sure.
For sure.
So it seems like you still enjoy competing and being the best that you can be,
absolutely.
But also to realize like I don't have to stomp everybody else out in order to do that.
I think one of the greatest things about living in the United States is that we are capitalists, that we do celebrate entrepreneurship. So do I love winning? Nobody loves winning more than I do. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. But I don't have any desire to win at the expense of anyone else.
Sure.
Now, there's all sorts of deals that are just meant to fall apart,
sure.
aren't going to work. That's just part of any.
Yep.
That's part of any business. But I'm just as I have a gift in the car that I'm going to deliver this afternoon, and it is for another broker, another very successful broker. And I saw an article in a newspaper, or not a newspaper, in a real estate magazine, and I thought, I've got to get it. It's a book, and I thought, I have got to get this for her. And so in 20 seconds, I went on Amazon, I ordered it, and I'm going to take it to her.
Sure.
And because I learned a long time ago that no one builds themselves up or makes themselves a better person by tearing someone else down.
Sure.
So you just eliminate that. Just eliminate it.
And I always appreciate your passion in that. It makes me think of the quote, and I have an idea of who the person is that said it, but I want so I don't say the wrong person. That nobody ever goes broke by giving.
No.
I think you could flip it also around to say nobody stays rich by taking.
No.
You know.
No.
And I noticed that in you that
No.
as great as this company is, it's spurred on by your willingness to give and support.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's joy.
Yeah.
I mean, when I see you all flourish and have success, it's a great gift to me.
Sure.
I love it. It's why I want to continue to do it.
And I always appreciate it because it's not just your real estate competitors or your agents. I think this would be a good time to say, like, I've appreciated your support for my family. I see you support other people's families. My wife, of course, has got her 501c3 Queens United, and you have been a big part of her ability to success.
I'm so proud of her.
And I greatly appreciate that. And that's one, again, it's just another area where I see, okay, hey, this is more about who you are, more so than even being a businesswoman.
Oh, absolutely. But I am so proud when you think about the fact that you and Alicia have 3 small children. You both have full-time lives. You are involved in your church. You're involved with coaching. You're involved with mentoring. And there's only 24 hours in the day.
And not much of it is sleeping.
I can't help but be not only impressed, I'm motivated by this wonderful, successful young family.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate
and
that.
It's gonna help you, and it already is. I mean, you're thriving because of the well-rounded life you live.
Sure. And what you've, I think, without even saying, some of the things that you've done within the company, I don't utilize everything that the company offers, which is
you have to pick and choose.
Exactly. But what I think I can see without necessarily like taking the time to think, I think I could see the innovation, and it garnered me. My wife is she's a big push for that as well. But changing some of my approach to things, even starting this podcast, part of it is the innovation. Part of it came from COVID.
That's exactly right.
So the last 3 years have been
to interface.
To interface and communicate. People have more time at home or in front of a screen, or they may have more time to listen and things like that. So COVID changed some things, and mainly in a positive way in our industry, surprisingly. When everything started to happen and things started to shut down, what were your thoughts? Did you think that we were going to have the boom that we had? What were your initial thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you, when COVID first hit, Jack and I would be at the office, and it was lonely. I mean, it was lonely. Fortunately, the business in this part of the world began to take off. More and more businesses coming this direction, and the interest rates were extremely low. So there was the salvation of a strong economy that helped us get through the COVID period. One thing that I would say about you is that you, in the days now of the internet and people being able to see each other, be together via phones, computers, all of that, is that you put yourself out there, and it is so important. And one of the things you're doing with the podcast is it's entertainment, but it's also education.
Sure, definitely.
And everybody needs that.
Yep.
When I started, there was no such thing. I mean, we had the first piece of equipment I bought for our company was an electric typewriter, and it was an innovative experience. We had none of this. So what I did to build my business was I became very involved as a community volunteer. And I really felt like I had two jobs. I was a community volunteer, which I loved.
Sure.
And I was feeding my enjoyment of meeting new people and helping things grow in our town. But I was also building my sphere of influence that ended up being my customer base.
Right.
And so now with the innovations that we have, you're doing both. You're extremely involved in the community, and you are very involved with social media marketing.
Sure.
And Tom Ferry says you need to be out there in front of people at least 3 times a week. Well, that's easier said than done, but you're doing it. And so I commend you. I mean,
Thank
we
you.
have some, I don't mean we, but at the industry, has some fabulous agents that don't market themselves. And so it's like a light under a bushel. You can be the most talented realtor in East Texas, but if you don't let the world know about it, you're helping them. They're missing an opportunity.
Sure. And because I realized even I would have family friends that would use different agents. So I for one, I have a huge family here from both my mom and dad's side, and they are very connected in the community, being ball players and pastoral leadership and things like that. So they know a lot of people, and we're related to a lot of people. And then I would see people that that we knew use other agents, and I'm not angry, but it's like, something triggered
how
in.
How did that happen?
How did that happen?
Did I not?
Either
did I not
one.
Put myself in front
Sure.
of them, and
Sure.
didn't have to be face to face.
Sure.
There's a million different ways now that you can connect.
Either they did not recognize that I was an agent, or right. they didn't think that I was astute enough to be an agent to help them reach their goals. And that really, when my wife said, "Hey, you need to be doing videos and things like this.
You need to hone your skills.
Yeah, you need to hone your skills." That was part of it for me. Actually, was okay. Hey, I will. If I make a video, for one, I have to learn the information, or else other people that know the information are going to say, "Hey, this isn't right."
Right.
So, okay, now I have to learn, and then also too, I have to get in front of people
and you have to
kind of get over. I have to teach others. Because I can talk real estate lingo all day long, but when you see the blank stare in your client's eyes of like, "Hey, I'm listening, but I don't know what you're talking about," and part of the thing that changed for me over time was, okay, I need to be able to communicate in a way where the client still feels involved, that they made the decision at the end, not, "Oh, hey, my agent did all this for me," because if something goes wrong, and things they go wrong. That's eventually. Right. I want the people to feel empowered, to say, "Hey, if it goes wrong, at least I was involved." Not, "Oh, hey, my person let me down."
Yeah.
I had that experience buying the house, and part of it was just not me. I won't say that the agent that we had when we bought our house let us down, because she's still a good friend, and I think she's a very knowledgeable agent. I just had an unclear expectation of what her job was. She didn't, and so that's all of that for me. She didn't do anything wrong. She never did anything. When I look back now as an agent, I was like, "Oh, she did everything she was supposed to." The only thing is I didn't know what she was supposed to do.
Right.
So part of me has just been, okay, hey, let me set expectations for the clients.
Right.
And then let me empower your decisions, because all of them are your decisions. I work for you.
That's right.
Whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to support. I just want you to know what it is that you're making a decision on. And so all those things, my time here has been great in facilitating that. Do you make any predictions about what do you think is going to happen now that we've had the pandemic and we're trying to get back to a new normal in life?
Right.
Of course, sales prices went through the roof. They're starting to come down. Mm-hmm. Some people are saying, "Oh, the market's crashing." Other people are saying, what are your thoughts on that? Because I don't believe that we're crashing.
No, I don't either. Okay, I am very, very, very bullish on the future of the state of Texas, and certainly the future of East Texas.
Sure.
I am not a Pollyanna. I am a realist, but I am a student of the economy, and certainly a student of what's happening in the state of Texas.
Sure.
A game that we play, my husband and I, when we get in the car almost every day, is let's find who can see the first license plate from somewhere else. And you're going to find one, at least one, every time
you get on the road.
Get on the road. Texas has become a magnet. The fact that we do not have a state income tax, it's a friendly place for business, and some of the major corporations in not only the country but in the world are migrating here. For the first time in the history of California, they lost population last year. Yes. And many of them come here. People from Washington State, from Oregon, from California. People are moving here from the Midwest. So is there a little downturn right now?
Sure.
Yes. Is it painful? Yes. Do we want it to be over? Absolutely. But as far as if I had a crystal ball, I would say the real estate industry is promising right here as it is anywhere in the United States. And I give credit not only to just the fact that as the Dallas Metroplex that space is maximized.
Sure.
They're moving. Now with the new medical center and medical school in Tyler.
Oh,
that's
that's
going
right.
to bring tremendous opportunity.
Sure.
Many, many jobs, many, many very, very good jobs. Do we wish it was in Longview? Sure. Are we thrilled it's 30 minutes away? Are some of those people going to live here?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Right.
And there's more and more opportunities that are coming. I saw today, I didn't read the article, but I saw this morning that Eastman is talking about a big expansion.
It was like a multi-million dollar.
That helps whether you're in a drugstore business, a real estate
Sure.
business,
Sure.
if you're a doctor. It's going to help all of us. But business is cyclical.
It is.
It doesn't matter what it is. And so you have to prepare yourself to be there in the ups, the downs.
Sure.
But for the long haul, there's no. In my opinion, you couldn't be in a better place.
I agree, and thank you for that pitch. For those that are living in different areas, you need to make your way.
Come this way.
Not everybody.
No, we don't
Texas
want everybody.
is big, but
we don't want them all.
But I take issue with, and the one reason why I ask you, because I do know that you are a student of the markets, that you're watching. When I talk to you, you're watching everything that's going on, and I've just been. I think I've been disappointed, and because some of it feels almost like just an attention grab, to say, oh, the markets are crashing, like the sky is falling almost, kind of thing. And I'm looking around. If anything, I feel like we're settling even above norm.
Oh, absolutely.
From 2018, 2019.
Oh, absolutely.
So I guess I always like to push back a little bit because, the doom and gloom sells. I understand that.
Oh, absolutely.
Doom and gloom sells. But I get nervous that if it's said enough, people will believe it. And when you believe, people will start acting based on something that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. It's not true.
It's not true.
It's not true.
It's not true.
So it's and there have been some articles recently in the newspaper that prices are falling. My God, the sky is falling.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, it's still a healthy market. And one of the things that I think we are so blessed with, because it isn't that way everywhere. We have wonderful county government. We have wonderful city government. We have people that are visionaries, that are preparing this community for not 10 years, not 20 years, 50 years down the road. You look around at all the schools that have been built in the last 20 years. I mean, Longview's infrastructure as far as education was falling down. And Longview stood up and they said, you know what? We're going to build fabulous new facilities. You look at the road work that's being done, the infrastructure work that's being done. It's phenomenal. You look at the changes that happened in downtown Longview, and that we're set for that to continue.
Sure.
So I'm very bullish on the future of our part of the world.
And again, because I don't recognize a crash. If I crash my truck, everything's gonna stop.
Well,
and
don't
everything,
crash it.
But everything is still moving right now.
Absolutely,
everything is still moving. I think, is it the same? I mean, I told my wife, I said, I've never, in all of my years, I hadn't sold so many $300,000-$400,000 houses.
Can you even believe it?
It was crazy, and I had to, like you, I'm a realist, Mike. That's going to change. But the business is still there. When people get over the initial fear of, what are the interest rates? And the sellers start to wise up on, hey, that was pie in the sky type.
It was great.
It was great, but that time is over. But if you look at it, and what I tell sellers now, I'm starting to list it a lot, your home value is up.
Oh, yes.
From what it was 3 or 4 years ago, your home value has appreciated.
There's not that much
There's
supply,
still not
prices
supply.
are going to stay
Exactly.
elevated.
And I can't see a reason for the supply to increase or for the demand to decrease enough for there to be a a significant change.
No, I don't think so.
There's a change, but I don't think that it'll be significant. So that gives me a lot of hope, and that also gives me now with integrity, I can say on my videos, hey, it's still a good time to buy. It's still a good time to sell.
Which is the truth.
It's the truth.
It's
I don't have to try to finagle it and this is and really in my mind think this is bad. And I give caveats for everything, for buyers. Hey, listen, this is not the time to buy and try to hope that appreciates quickly. You sell and get out and go do something. It's not really your time. I actually had a friend of mine. He ended up buying something later. But he was trying to buy a house at kind of the top of his budget. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get it. This was in the middle of the pandemic. And he said, yeah, I'm going to get it. And I'm going to move to Dallas in a couple of years. I'll turn around and sell it. I said, hey, man, I'd love to sell you a house. But this isn't the time to do that.
Yeah.
This is unrealistic to think that this is going to continue.
You're going to buy it and you stay here, go for it.
Do it. But if not, let's ease up. If you got other plans, that's great. Let's take care of those plans first, and then think about buying a house. So all those things are very important. As far as you being supportive and all those things that you talked about, I heard you earlier talked about your volunteerism, kind of taking you out of the broker businesswoman box. And also recognizing who you like to be in the community. Can you talk a little bit about your passion for volunteering?
Yes. I became a very, very active volunteer. I loved it. When Jack moved here, he said, okay, Mom, you've done it. You've been so many different things. I'll take that mantle. And I said, you know what?
Thank you.
Thank you. But one of the most important organizations that I was involved in is the Junior League of Longview. I had many chairmanship roles.
Sure.
I became the president of the Junior League. We opened this company, like I said, May 14th, 1984. I became the president of the Junior League the same day.
Oh, wow.
And I absolutely loved it. I was the president of the Chamber of Commerce. I have the Lifetime Service, they don't call it that, award for the Chamber of Commerce. I've been the president of the Longview Area Association of Realtors. I served on the first committee that brought emergency medical services to East Texas.
Wow.
I was the chairperson on the committee when we voted to establish the Longview Economic Development Corporation.
Which has done great things.
Oh my gosh.
They're
I was
still
very
doing...
involved. I was president of the American Heart Association. I was the first president of the, excuse me, the PTO for Hudson Pep.
Okay.
And it goes on and on
sure.
and on. But it was, I hope I made a difference here. Those experiences certainly made a difference in my life. And many of my best friends, the people that I want to emulate, and are people that I met through my
sure.
volunteerism.
Sure.
It's been great.
Awesome. We'll take a quick break.
And back then, you have to realize, we've said it many times, but there was no social media. So if you wanted to connect with people, if you wanted to know
you had to
people,
get out.
if you wanted to make friends with people and have them support you in other areas of your life, you had to
sure.
know them.
Sure.
Now we can do that, but we also have these marvelous resources where we can reach so many people without ever being
sure.
Sitting this close to them, knowing them.
Would you say you're extroverted?
No.
Really?
No, that's probably reason I have not sold. No, I am what they call an introvert, an extroverted introvert. I'm very introverted.
You're gonna have Alicia co-signing this.
I think I was so willing to make my role as a company owner to be a mentor, not the salesperson.
Sure.
And it's just because it's a more comfortable role for me.
Sure.
So no,
you're gonna have one amen coming from Alicia. Maybe that's why y'all connect so well, because that's what she calls herself as well, an extroverted introvert. So
I love that part,
mm-hmm.
but it isn't my core.
Sure. So you've had a lot of positive interactions with clients and agents and people in the community. Unfortunately, as a businesswoman, I know everything can't always be gravy.
No, absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about times that you may have had to draw a line based on an agent or somebody being involved, an affiliate that didn't match your values?
Yes. It has happened very few times.
Mm-hmm.
Very few. One, we asked a gentleman to leave because he had values or lack of values that didn't meet not our expectation, just the things that we hold dear. And it had to do with race, actually. And it became very apparent that this particular individual was not a good fit for our company. And we asked him to leave.
And it's always so strange because some of the nicest people, there are a couple of business owners here, me and Alicia were talking about the other day, that I've seen them have to draw the line with people. Extremely nice, caring, kind individual, and then have to come to a place of saying, hey, this is the line. Right. Is it hard for you being an extrovert, introvert to say no? It
isn't hard. My dad was a career military. He was in the Navy. Was an officer in the Navy. So I grew up as a child that, with my three brothers, moved every 4 years. We moved all over the United States. He was a marine architect. He designed and helped build Navy ships. But because of the different parts of the country that I lived in, I became very aware of social injustice, things that weren't right, and it set the expectations for who the person I really am. I understand that not everybody's had the opportunity to be exposed to the many things that I have, and I try to take that into consideration if I'm going to make a decision to terminate someone. They perhaps just haven't had the opportunity to realize that their feelings or their beliefs aren't acceptable in our eyes. There are a couple of other people that we have let go. Overall, we've been extremely fortunate.
Right.
And I will say not only about Coldwell Banker, but about the entire real estate community here. It's a wonderful group of people.
I think so.
And they're hard working.
I think so.
I mean, this is not an easy business. And
I think I've only had one or two interactions where I was like, I don't want to associate with this person at all.
Right.
I don't want to be another.
Very few.
Very few.
And so if there's somebody that is not a fit for your culture, the best thing is to, in a very nice way, to say, I think you're going to be happier somewhere else.
Sure.
And but it's been very, very, very infrequent.
What would you say? If you're bringing new agents in? The national average, I believe, for an agent within the first 5 years, about 87% fail.
Yeah.
So it's not, even though it's a great business, it's
a hard
it is a hard business.
Yes.
What would you say, for the many agents that you've been able to oversee, come through here and mentor and help? What would you say are the qualities or the traits that help an agent be successful?
Well, I think you have to realize that if you're going to be in sales, any kind of sales, that the number one word that you need to have in the front of your mind is prospecting. And it's very difficult to explain to someone that yes, it's wonderful that you have your real estate license, and we are going to embrace you, and we're going to help train you. But you have a tremendous responsibility, you, the new agent, to take advantage of all the opportunities. And you are surrounded by people, successful people. If you don't do anything else but try to follow their lead, but they aren't just sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. Those people will not make it.
Sure.
And
You're kind of a mama bird then, huh? Just
That's
saying
right.
like, hey, listen, go. You gotta flap your wings. I can't flap the wings for you. You know, we got you here, got you in your nest. This is a safe space, but unfortunately,
it's time to go.
Yeah,
it's time to put yourself out there. And there's disappointment when you do.
Yep.
It's just like, seeing a for sale by owner and thinking, gosh, shall I go knock on the door? Or, no, probably not today. What's the worst thing that can happen if you knock on the door? Thank you very much. I
don't know. We're in Texas. They may run you off the property.
They might. You might better be careful. Maybe we won't do that.
I've tried. I've actually gotten close with some for sale by owners, because I do think at the end of the day I had to recognize, okay, these are people. That I'm seeing them as clients. I'm seeing them, but these are people, and most people I don't think have a clear understanding of what it takes to sell a house. Either you're not aware of the process, or they're not
aware of any of it.
Aware of any of it, your possible liability, all of those things.
And years ago, for sale by owners were very popular. Very, very few people sell their homes for sale by owner anymore.
Right.
Because buyers, they don't want to deal with the owner.
Sure.
They want an intermediary that's knowledgeable, that can guide them. And so they're very wary of talking to the owner directly. It used to be a big problem. It's another force in the market. It's almost not important at all anymore.
I wish there were more people that would. I mean, because I work with a lot of buyers. Actually, in 2021, I think I may have sold 4 or 5 that were for sale by owner. So I haven't seen many lately. No. They've slowed down quite a bit, but I understand what this owner is trying to do. I'm trying to get the most that I can for my house.
Certainly. And we all want the most.
And the real estate agent, unfortunately, from other professionals or just the everyday average person, they believe that the real estate agent really doesn't hold much value. Oh, he just did this and he get paid all this money. They really didn't do anything. And I have heard of situations where the agent didn't do very much. He still got them to the finish line. But I've seen some people get taken advantage of. But for the most part, I recognize this person is just trying to maximize their money.
That's right.
They still need to sell the house, and they don't know how to do it, because they'll just put the sign in the yard and hope somebody would. They don't know how to price it. They just want somebody to drive by, and Texas, of course, is a non-disclosure state, so they don't have any information about what's going on in the area.
They don't know that a superhighway is going to be built 2 blocks away.
Sure.
And the seller, I don't think, is responsible for telling them.
Right.
As an agent.
Right.
If we know something, we have to disclose it.
Right. And so all those things, I said, okay, I can still help this seller. I may not represent them, and that's okay. I can still help them and still be able to meet the goals of the buyer.
That's exactly right.
And so all those different changes, I hope that more people will. I do get in this time, because so many buyers, you know what it is when buyers, they get the itch to buy a house. They got their pre-approval. They're checking every day, maybe 3 times a day. I'm just not seeing any houses. I don't want it to come quickly, but I do hope this year that more houses start to trickle on the market.
I think they will. I think they will.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason we haven't seen more properties on the market, especially new homes, is that there's been a supply shortage in so many industries, certainly in the building industry. So something that should take 4.5 months is taking 7. and the cost of building materials has been
fluctuating,
very mercurial. So I think that's going to level out, and I think we will see more.
I hope so.
Properties.
I hope so. I'm kind of in the same boat as you, and I do appreciate, for one, I believe that I would be correct to call you an optimist
and a realist
at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. I am a realist, but I am also an optimist.
And so I appreciate. People don't understand a lot of times in leadership how important that is for somebody to look up and see your leader with hope.
Oh, absolutely.
If the leader doesn't have much hope, then you're going to be looking around like, wait a minute, I need to get out of here.
I need to get off this ship. No, I definitely could.
Sure.
No, I think the long-term outcome or opportunity is the sky's the limit.
Sure.
And think how young you are and how you're going to be able to prosper from this over the years.
And I hope so. I hope that this is something, that
you do a good job for people. They don't only come back. They tell their neighbors. They tell their family.
They do.
They tell their friends. And that's how you build. That's when you know you've made it.
And I always appreciate, because I'm a man of faith, and I'll never forget. So in 2019, at the end of 2019, I was working at a nonprofit, and I was working with dads in the area, and our funding wasn't able to continue. And so they of course they had to let me go. And I was sitting around thinking, for the past 2 years, I'd been doing real estate part-time, and I was worried. Of course,
sure.
Garrison had just been born. Ian was on the way. We just didn't know it. And so, right. And so, because if that had happened, I probably would have melted right there. But I was so concerned, and I remember praying and saying, Lord, okay, what do I do? Do I go full time in this? And I'll never forget.
Made the right decision.
But I'll never forget, Malinda. I remember hearing the Lord tell me, if you do an excellent job, will you get paid?
Yes.
And because I was asking God, should I do yes or no? Should I yes or no, yes or no, yes or no? We always want a definitive.
Yeah. And
that answer struck me so hard, because it wasn't a thing of, oh, hey, am I going to make it? It's, yes, I can make it if you do an excellent job.
That's right.
Because any person, if I go to buy a car, when I go to the dealership and I go, like my brother, for example, I go up to my brother and I say, hey, man, I want to buy a car. And he's like, oh, yeah, there's just these cars out here. And he just kind of, passively, he doesn't take into consideration my needs.
That's
or
exactly
what
right.
I care about, or my lack of knowledge and educating me. At the end of that, I'm just going to feel like it's a bad experience, and I'm not going to come back to this person. I'm not going to tell anybody else about this person. I may just hold this experience as a bad experience, but
I'm going to go find a good experience.
I'm going to go find a good experience. I said, okay, if I can just create a good experience for whether somebody's buying, selling, or investing, I should be able to move forward. And on the investing side, this office isn't just residential.
No,
we don't just do real estate, commercial real estate. Are you actively involved in the investing side at all, or is it no? Okay.
No, I have nothing to do with that side. Frank Cheney is the manager of that side, and he and Jack do their own thing. I am, except when I sign the checks, which I'm very thankful for, excited about. I really know very little of what they do.
But I think that's probably what makes y'all a great team, though.
I think it does, and I think that it works for Jack and I in that, and that we've been working together. He joined us in 2002. So we've been a little over
21
a
years.
long time.
Okay.
And but he does his thing, I do mine, and And then we cooperate and collaborate as far as the whole company is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But we respect each other, we love each other, but we stay out of each other's way.
Sure, and that's I think this
it's worked great.
Sure. As far as you, like you said, you listen to Tom Ferry, and you're a student of the market. For agents, especially, what would you encourage agents to kind of keep their eyes on to stay abreast on news or information that's important for their industry or kind of the markets and things like that? Who do you look for information? Look to for information?
Well, I'm a news junkie.
Okay.
I mean, all my friends watch the Yellowstone and
all
those
that's
things,
a really
and
good
I
show.
know I would love them, but and I don't recommend being a news junkie to anybody else. But I do it because it's fascinating to me.
Sure.
So that's been good for me. I do think, and I think you do need to have a clear understanding of the basics of what's going on
Mm-hmm.
with the economics of all business, not just real estate. Another thing that doesn't have anything to do with economics so much, Coldwell Banker University offers wonderful classes that are available. And one of our agents was, I said, "Are you taking a class?" It was a man, and I said, last week, I said, "Are you taking a class?" And he said, I was thinking like continuing education or GRI,
mm-hmm.
which he already has. And he said, no. He said, it's an interactive class that I'm taking about setting up your business for the new year. And he said, it's very good. And I thought, well, there's all these things that are there at your fingertips. It's just there's only so much time.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's hard to prospect when you need and also time to take out and to
absolutely.
learn.
You need it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's
need it all.
Hard to. Is there anybody besides Tom Ferry that you feel is a good inspiration or a good thought leader?
And I'm really not that big of a follower of Tom Ferry. I know that any of those real estate gurus, they're gonna, it's a rigorous regimen,
mm-hmm.
and if the reality is, if you do what they say, it's going to help you be successful.
Sure.
But you have to pick and choose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's somebody out there that's a tremendous inspiration. I can't really tell you.
And I guess I excuse me, whenever I got started, Tom Ferry, of course, he's the most probably recognizable.
Yes. Brian Buffini.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Tom Ferry.
They really stood out. But I had to recognize, again, it's just in this business, like part of it is getting an understanding of who you are.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I tried to implement some things, and I was like, this is just, I know it's not going to come off natural. So I found a guy, his name is Ricky Carruth. He kind of has the same, he kind of has the same mindset that I do. He's probably a little more extroverted than I am, but he has some of the same, I'm not even gonna say values. He has some of the same tactics that I appreciate. That's something that comes more natural for me. So I always like to encourage agents just to, if it's somebody, there's a lot of information out there. And there's a treasure trove of information. There's lots of new coaches and things popping up like every single day, it seems like. And I just think it's important for agents to recognize, like, this person may not work for you.
Oh, absolutely. I will tell you, and this is part of being an introvert. When I first started selling real estate, I did that for the 10 years before we opened our company. I would try to be, okay, I'm going to have this sales presence. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it was very uncomfortable for me. And one day it was like a revelation. I said to myself, you know what, Malinda? Just be yourself. That's what you need to be. And I just relaxed. And I don't know that I was any more successful, any less more successful, but I was happier because I wasn't trying to emulate anybody. I was I found that I was comfortable in my own skin.
Sure.
And that turned out to be very valuable for me.
Awesome. Who are you outside of real estate? I know you said you're a news junkie.
I am a news junkie. I am a very I have a large family. We have 3 children. We have 9 grandchildren. We have a large extended family. We have a lot of California family. I love the role of mother. I love the role of wife. I love the role of grandmother. We have a great time. That's probably outside of my business. That's probably my greatest joy.
I love talking to grandparents. And so on my first episode with my dad, I got a chance to ask him on camera, what happens to grandparents? What is the change that happens? Because my parents were, they were strict. We knew what was
acceptable and what wasn't.
I will drop my children off to my parents, and they will
come home a different animal.
They have popsicles and candy, and they've been on the tablet for 3 hours straight. And I look at them and I said, "Who are you people?"
I know, but it's great.
It is.
Yeah, their responsibility is not to raise them up.
Sure.
It's to make life joyful.
Sure.
And so let them have it.
Yeah, and I do think it's important. So I'm a man of faith, and one thing that struck me when I was reading a proverb was saying that a good man sets up his grandchildren for success. He provides for his grandchildren, and that's something that really struck me because, I'm thinking right now. Before I read that, it's like, okay, hey, I want to have my son set up for XYZ. Hey, I want to be able to, if they want to go to college and not have to pay for it, I want to be able to set them up for that. Those are things that I strive for. But when I read that, I was like, oh, wait a minute, that puts a new layer on it because
it doesn't end.
And I found out that part of the reason why is because in that time, of course, what would happen was the parent would allow their child to continue to live in the home. Of course, they're familial.
Yeah.
They would live in the home without having to take care of other things. So now they're able to build up theirs. And so basically the grandparent is taking care of the grandchild financially so that his child can start to grow their own or continue to grow the family business. So that just put a new perspective on it for me, and it made me think about you saying with this business possibly your 2 grandchildren saying, hey, we may step into this, and being able that's a tremendous legacy.
Oh yeah.
To leave,
and if we do a good job, it'll be here for them. So
well, I don't have any doubt, Malinda. I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and I hope we get a chance to do this again.
Absolutely.
Is there anything I give you a chance to pitch Coldwell Banker, even more so than what we've done already to any new agents or existing agents out there that may want to? What would you say to that agent that's on the fence?
I would say we would love the opportunity to visit with anyone who's in the business or who is contemplating getting into the business and tell you our story.
Sure.
And it may be something that's very appealing.
Sure.
And it may be something that makes you decide that you're going to go in a different direction, a different business, or you're going to go with a different brokerage. That's certainly an individual's decision. But we're very proud of our company. We're very successful because of the wonderful people that work for us. And it's a great joy every day. I think the people that work here are excited when they walk in the door. They're glad to be together. It's a strong, healthy, happy, successful culture. And come see us.
Sure. Can I ask? Well, I'm sorry. Let me ask you one more question. If you could advise agents When we first get our license, of course, we're going to speak with different brokers.
Certainly.
What are some questions that you think are important for agents to ask brokers when they're going in to talk to them? Are there any specific questions that you think an agent should ask?
I do think an agent should talk about, what is it that you and your company can provide me. I think a lot of times realtors get caught up in who is going to give you the biggest chunk of the commission, and that's that's understandable. But to get even a partial part of the commission, you have to have a foundation.
Sure.
And that foundation is a lot of education, and a lot of support, so I think someone needs to look at the total picture, and look. I mean, this company has agents that, like I said, have been around as long as I have. We celebrate anniversaries here, and to see 25 years, 30 years, 18 years, there's a reason that those people are here.
Yep.
And it's
been
a nurturing place that has helped many people be successful.
Sure.
So our doors are always open. We love the opportunity to tell our story.
Sure. Well, again, Malinda, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
I want to reiterate how much I appreciate not only your time here, but the time over the past coming up on 6 years. I don't think that I could have made it in this industry without being here.
I disagree with that.
Well, I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate that. I plan to be here for a long time.
Good, yay!
Because
me too.
I don't think that I'll ever take on being a broker.
Well, you never know.
That's just not my. If I have to be honest about where I see myself in this industry, I don't really see myself being a broker. So I'm just glad to
give
feel.
You some advice.
I know you will, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. So thank you to everybody out there. Thank you for your time. I would greatly appreciate it if you would like this video, share this video. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, you can subscribe as well. All those different. We're actually found in Google Podcasts, several different podcast spaces. You can find me on Facebook. And we're here in Longview. The Coldwell Banker office is here in Longview at 1100 Judson Road, Suite 400.
That's it.
Suite 400 for any agents, or if you're looking for an agent. If I'm not the one, it's the same. Y'all, I really tell all of the people that I work with, if I'm not the agent for you, I probably know somebody that is great. Don't feel pressured to be with somebody that you know as an agent. If that's myself, one of the most important things that can happen for you is to have a great experience in buying or selling your home, and you need to feel comfortable with the person that you're working with. So if you getting your introduction through me and I'm not the person for you, that's plenty fine. Shop around. Make sure you're with somebody that's knowledgeable, that has the backing of a good broker, somebody that's supervising them, making sure the values that they
dot the I's and
cross the T's, that have things in place to make sure that you have a safe transaction as well. So thank you so much for your time. I hope that you found this